Hello, YouTube. It's me. It's Michael B. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Very special show. Friend of the channel, friend of the community, Glen Planamento dropped a pretty big bomb last Friday. Of course, I had some greasy insider GRS news. I already knew about it, but seeing him physically announce it, it's an exciting time. We're here to talk about the giant GRS Build-a-cade, GRS Multicade project yet to be named. And I'm very fortunate to have with me tonight my good buddy, Glen Planamento.
Hey, it's me. It's Glenny P.
Glenny P.
Can I steal it? Can I steal your
Yes,
intro?
man,
I'm Glenny
absolutely.
P.
I actually stole it from wrestling. I'm a big wrestling nerd, so that's why I say stuff.
I know
like,
you wrestled me down at the Cleveland Gaming Expo. I remember that. You body slammed me on that concrete.
So anyways, it's Monday night. You know what that means. That's ripped off from Jim Ross on AEW Dynamite. It's Michael B is ripped off from DDP. Yeah, it's just all wrestling shit. Glen, thank you so much for being here tonight, man. Huge announcement. I know this is something you've been talking to me about for a while. This is an actualization of a long-time dream, and we're pretty excited to talk about it. But I want to talk about your other stuff going on. I mean, you're busy. Like, I don't understand how you're so busy. You go from a guy that's just a member of the community, you know, buying these things, buying like basic fun little cabinets, making videos on it, to basically becoming a full-scale company right now. You are a name in the home arcade space, if not one of the biggest ones. How did that transition happen, and how does it feel to be there now?
Well, definitely not there yet, but it's a nice road to. Well, I shouldn't say about a nice road. It's like a road with some spikes in it, but in between the spikes, it's a nice road. And you know, we've talked about it before. I'm sure some of the old time watchers know. You know, just a guy who liked retro gaming. I'm from the older, like Pong era. You know, Magnavox Odyssey era, and you know,
Yeah,
my
the
wife.
terrible era.
The terrible, the dark ages, the dark ages.
Fairchild Channel F.
Yes, exactly. And I was married, and my wife was very. You could have a couple things, but no, you were under control. Well, you know, unfortunately, my wife passed away quite a number of years ago, and I had nothing to do, and I was kind of like lost for a long time. And then I said, you know what? I bought something at eBay. I bought a Bally Astrocade, and then I was like, ooh, I got a Bally. I could buy something else. And I bought something else, and now it's completely out of control, obviously. And you know, back in 2018, when I'm a big like asteroids fan, I'm a big Space Raiders fan, all those old games, Centipede, and when Arcade One Up had announced what they were coming out with, I was like all over that, and I had a YouTube channel I was doing for a couple of years with my son, and I did reach out to him in Chiscom, or Harold over at Chiscom, great guy. I reached out and he sent me my first. He was actually my first sent item for review, and Halfman was so excited, and I unboxed it, and I tried Tempest, and I'm like, what the hell? It's not even a potentiometer. It's a TV clicker. What they do here? So, and you know, I start like 5 million Facebook groups, and I had a Facebook group there, and I did my video complaining about that, and the company T Sticks had just reached out to me, said, listen, we know you're doing this. We want to take a look at the spinner. And to make that long story short, we kind of partnered up, and they take my knowledge of certain things, and they take their engineering skills, and we take stuff that's maybe from an old generation and modernize it, like Hall Effect spinners and the Star Wars yoke, and it's kind of growing from there. And for me, there's been so many good things that have happened here, and bad things happen too, but good things too. First of all, the community members are fantastic. You know, there's some out there that are more colorful, but they are really a very good bunch of people. And you know, I wanted to try and contribute more to them because I'm a consumer.
Yeah.
We're consumers, and a lot of times, you know, the advertising. Remember as a kid, they advertise something and you get it, and you're like, this thing sucks. You know, this is not what they advertised on TV. So I wanted to make sure that people in this space got a good quality item that they were happy with, and maybe exceed their expectations. And I've always tried to do that. Lost a lot of sleep. I'm only 25. You know,
Glenn,
I'm only
you
25 years
don't
old.
look a day over 24.
Thank you. And that's always been like my goal, but it's been more and more a dream. Like I working with you know, doing the Heavy Metal Titans, being in a video game, and the WrestleMania being a video game. That was also like a top tier thing. You know, you guys were in it too. It's fantastic. But
Oh, that was a dream come true.
I mean, really.
I gave a lot of the guys a hard time here because there was a couple things. Like, I grew up and I was really into wrestling video games growing up, like really, really into wrestling video games. So the fact that I was going to be featured in one just absolutely blew my mind. And I love to give a lot of the guys here a hard time because they always talked about who was going to make it from Newfoundland. And I was nobody, because none of us work out enough. Nobody's going to make it big time. So anyways, they were always like, who's going to make it big time? And I was like, well, I know who the first Newfoundland wrestler that got in a video game was.
And in a WrestleMania game, no less.
Yeah.
So those are like things that I never thought I would have been involved with. And I'm very thankful with that. But in doing this, I've always had dreams of certain things myself. Like all my products that we're doing with T-Sticks, myself, and all my partners are things I really want for me and things I've always wanted. But I also assume that other people would want as well.
Yeah.
And this latest one is since we did my first controller, I always wanted to build my own arcade. And I'm not good. I can do Tinker Toys. I can make it do Build-a-cade in 20 minutes. We'll practice. You can do it.
I don't know, man. I'm not very good at this.
It can be done. But I really wanted one, and I wanted it done a certain way. And when you buy someone else's product, even people buy mine, but we'll get into that. You may not always get. You have to give up something in that process. And I really just want to make something that people will really enjoy with their kids. That's the big thing with their kids.
So, Glenn, a couple housekeeping items. We kind of just went into it. This is what happens when you don't plan on anything. So, tonight, we're here to talk about Glenn's new project. We're here to talk about new Wave toys, other shit that Glenn's working on and stuff like that. At no point are we going to talk about any drama in the community. Leave that at home. I've already talked to Jason. Anybody starts that in the chat, you're going to be timed out. So, I'm sorry, guys, if you're coming here for that. You can go fuck yourself. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Let's not do that. Let's just say it's not this is not the time or the place.
That's right. That's right. I like dropping F-bombs, Glenn. Don't stop me. Well, this is an official show. I mean, you're not just my buddy now. You're actually doing a product. So I'll try to refrain. I'll just use that one F-bomb. So that way it's still
I'm
PG-13.
Italian and German. That doesn't bother me.
All right. The other thing, too, is we got to say hello to a couple people here in the chat. Lots of well-wishers, Glenn. Obviously, you're loved in the community. People are really excited about this, not just because you're releasing a cool product, but they're also excited to see you succeed. So let's talk to the people here. I'm not going to do the whole P-dubs thing because it's a little tough, but Jason's here. Goofy Foot, big supporter of yours. Decadent Dave, best moderator in the business. Jason Little Alien, he's going to be controlling the ship tonight. Scott B, James Hates Everything, Andy's Game Room. Who else we got? Alfred Berger, Marine 50, Dan in St. Louis. You ever run across Dan in St. Louis? One of the nicest guys in the community. He's always like one of the first people in chats. You ever see him? Say howdy to Dan Z, Dan in St. Louis. Gramps Arcade, Pixelated Travel. Who else we got? Andy's Game Room. I don't know if I said you already, Andy. Cornercade's here. Cornercade did a video on your Build-a-cade. He's pretty excited about it, but he's pretty excited about everything. He gets a bad.
I keep my leg covered around Cornercade.
He gets a bad rep in the community, but he's a pretty good guy. Go check out Cornercade, guys, when you get a chance. Glen size GRS. That's what Pixelated Traveler says. I got a poll up too, guessing the name for the. You don't know what you're going to call it yet, right?
It's not finalized. We have a couple. I actually saw P-dubs posted in the chat forend. Don't put GRS because I'll think Game Room Solutions, and that's not wrong. I can't tell how many times that has happened. So P-dubs is being considered for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that I found funny was the not-for-profit that I work for used to be called the Canadian Paraplegic Association. So the abbreviation is CPA. But if you type CPA into your Google search bar, like so many things come up. Chartered Professional Accountants, Canadian Pyrocractic Association. Like it's just crazy.
Well, you know what? So, it's still better than Star Trek Discovery, STD. So you're doing okay.
I've had a couple Star Trek discoveries back in the day, Glenn. Brooklyn Menace is here. You're going to be a point of conversation. I stopped in the Steps Gaming show earlier, saw a couple of comments that you made. I'm going to bring that up as questions for
He's a
Glenn.
great guy too. Brooklyn is such a
Yeah.
friggin' nice guy. He really
Super
is.
nice, great member of the community. I had a chance to meet him at the iArcade event, and I actually stole his photo. That's where I got the photo for the thumbnail. You doing the pose. What event was that at? You guys were at?
That was at the Too Many Games, I believe. Too Many Games? I think that was too many games.
That's one of the ones I've always wanted to go. Me and you are old school YouTube. You can tell by the gray hair.
Yes.
So Too Many Games, Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I wanted to go out and support my buddy John Lester. What is that? The Game On Expo he has up in Phoenix.
Yep. John's another good guy.
Super.
I've
super
known
nice.
him a long time. Only friends, really close friends recently, but I've known him a very long time. Very nice guy. He went through a lot of stuff too. A lot of health issues. And I'm glad he's doing okay.
Yeah, man. His hurt. His hurt almost gave up on him.
Yep.
Yeah. Funniest thing he ever told me was he's got 2 arcades in his home. He's got I don't know if he still has them, but he's got like a Simpsons, and I can't remember the other one. You know how much he paid? Well, I don't think the Donkey Kong came with this, but he's got a Simpsons and another cab. And you know how much he paid for him?
Don't tell me like $10.
$0. Someone was just throwing him out.
No, that's how a few people I know that they're driving and they're out on the sidewalk. That's like the worst thing. I'm glad people find them and they're lucky, but never take something like that and leave it on the sidewalk, man. It's just
never.
wrong.
I've had dreams where that's happened. Actually, people just leaving stuff out, and then I have like panic dreams of trying to get them home. I'm like, okay, I want G.I. Joe, but I can only fit one in a cart, and he's got this here. Anyways, get to a couple other people. Nooner's here. Elio. Steps is here. King Midas. Who else we got? Vic Vicious 75. MSU Rich. Chaotic BPR. My buddy Chaotic. You ever run across Chaotic? He was at Cleveland last year.
I think we did meet up. It was my booth was so damn big. You were there. My booth was like I was swamped.
I wasn't at my booth.
No, you weren't, but I was.
Alan's Ageless Arcade is here. Did I get everybody? Sir Sega. I saw Sterling Hall here earlier. J Pace, JR, Scott B. All right, guys, if I miss you, I'll try to get you during the rest of the chat, but we're really here to focus on Glenn. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I do got to bring it up here. This is a guy, I don't know if you know him or not. Pitbull on Pinball and Arcades. Pitbull always rates me. He gets some awesome deals on Pinball and Arcades. He's got a Crystal Castles in his home. Did you confer with him working with New Wave Toys on theirs?
I didn't, but Pitbull he's a real nice guy. He's one of those guys who could probably lift up a car, but he's the nicest guy. He probably wouldn't kill a fly. He's such a nice guy.
You know what's weird about him though? He told me he doesn't find 19K Fox attractive. It's not his type of guy. He finds like a bigger guy more attractive. That's what he goes for.
Scary.
I know. You follow him on Instagram?
I'm not really I guess I'm on Instagram, but I'm an old man. I don't know how to use such things. I barely use X. I mean, I remember when Travis goes, Glenn, you're finally on. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. It's like I can't find anything.
So anyways, if you follow him on Instagram, he's always posting pictures of him pulling up his shorts to show you his upper thigh. So you got to watch out for Pitbull. Thank you very much for the super chat, Pitbull. You're a good dude, man. All right. Here we go, Glenn. So first off, I want to talk about, you mentioned your journey a little bit. I want to talk about how I first saw you when I started watching home arcade stuff. I've been doing retro gaming and stuff for a while. I kind of got out of YouTube for a couple of years, just got busy, had a kid, ended up having to sell off a lot of my collection. So I wasn't as interested. And then right before the pandemic hit, home arcades started to blow up. And I was like, this is cool. You can get these stupid little arcades, put them in your home. Like I always dreamed of having one, and like $300, you can put an arcade in your home. It's amazing. So I started watching channels. Like I was watching One Up Weekly, but the one I started watching more than anything else, and the one that was the most exciting, in my opinion, was the Retro Buzz with you, obviously Doug and Steven. So that was the big area where I first met you and first got to see your stuff. I probably should have saw it before. I apologize. But so take us back. Tell us a little bit about how the Retro Buzz started and your experience there.
Well, same thing. So that's Arcade One Up does have some good things, and one of it was that a lot of people in the community that we have now are because of Arcade One Up coming on the scene. So that's a positive.
Yeah.
And I was doing my videos on it, and Stephen Haywood, he reached out to me a couple of times, but you know how it is when your IM gets blown up all the time, and you don't look at him because there's too many people there. And this guy Stephen kept hitting me up and goes, "Hey man, I want to reach out. I want to talk to you." And eventually, he got so annoying, I did it. Just kidding, Stephen. And we were talking, and he's like, "Listen," he told me what he did. And I thought it was a neat idea, and me and him just did it wasn't even called Retro Buzz, I think then. It was like very early. It was just him and I talking. And then at that point, we had other people coming on with us. We had like sometimes we had Doug. We had actually Retro Ralph coming on sometimes. We had Patrick on. It was like hit and miss. And eventually, it kind of got settled on me, Doug, and Steven. And it kind of just went on from there. And
Yeah.
we did it for a long time. But sometimes the bands break up, and that band broke up. Doug is doing great, and he's got a new baby himself, and he's doing good. And actually, Steven has got a baby. You guys gotta stop having these babies, man. The world's
I know. I
overpopulated as
told
it is.
Steven, I was like, what are you, crazy, man? Your kids are all grown up. Why would you do this to yourself?
Yes, you were this close to being
Right.
free.
Yeah, you're way out.
So that's kind of where that came from. And the Rich Buzz was a great show of its time. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, but things changed. The home market changed, and Doug kind of went over to what he wanted to do, and Steven's doing more of the streaming. Like he was just at the Cleveland
Cleveland Gaming
Gaming
Classic.
Classic, and he was doing streaming from there, which is great. And I'm dabbling more on the hardware side, I guess. So we kind of the band broke up, but for good reasons. We were doing good things.
Yeah, like Cool Toy is doing amazing stuff now. I mean, let's be honest. His channel's called Cool Toy, so he's always been not a home arcade channel, right? So he's mainly focused on toys, but he's been doing so much
But
cool
think
stuff.
about it. Think about it. He's Cool Toy, and I'm Thunderstick. So put those two together. Ladies have a good time.
Yeah, you actually enlightened me to that. I was always like, why'd you call your company Thunderstick? Like, the other company's named Thunderstick, but you told me that was already their name. They reached out to you. I
That
always
was their
wondered about
name.
that.
That was
Yeah.
their name. Yes, and that was just
Yeah.
T Sticks for the most part, but the full name is Thunderstick
Yeah,
Studios.
it's probably good they switched to T-Sticks because the association.
Well, cause I would say go to Amazon and look up Thunderstick, and people are like, Glenn, you know what's coming up on them? I'm like, no, and I look like, oh shit, no, I didn't know that. I had
Yeah,
no idea.
I used to send it out.
I think you were the one who told me.
Yeah. Well, I'm into some sick shit, Glenn. I can't help it. So, anyways, Cool Toy, he's doing a lot of cool stuff now. Like he is like on top of being like probably the toughest man in the world. He's like pretty much a champion pinball player, and I am so freaking jealous, man. I wish I had the skill set that he does. He can like literally fix anything, like a Swiss Army knife, and he just built that Paperboy like from scratch. So he's given me some motivation to maybe do that one day. Except I'm really shitty at like fine woodworking. I can build a cabin, but something like that, I don't know. It's probably not going to
I'm
look
with
so
you,
great.
and that's kind of why I'm doing this, because I don't have the skills to build something out of wood like that. I would love to.
Yeah,
Um, it's certain things that some people are artistic, they can draw. I can't even do a stick figure. Some
yeah,
people could do woodworking. It took me a whole day to get a door print in my house. I bought the wrong door like two times till I got the
yeah.
right door. I mean, come on, you measure it, I still got it wrong. So
All right, so the Retro Buzz. If anybody gets a chance, go back and watch it. Like it was some of the peak watching back in the early days of home arcade. Then, of course, Glenn, like you've got your own channel, and you started doing really. You talked about it earlier with T-Sticks. Started doing really necessary improvements for arcade one-up cabinets. We all liked these. Like they were the only game in town at the time for these recreation arcades, but admittedly controls have always been dog shit. Like they're not so good. Some worse than others. That early Asteroids cab, I managed to avoid that one. But one of the first times I dealt with one of your products was about a Centipede cab, and I reached out to you right away, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy one of these. I know they're out of stock right now. Can I get one?" And you were like, "No, I'll send you it." And like you're too nice. You're too kind. You're like, "I'll send you it." So you sent me out the trackball, and that was the first time I had ever done a mod, and I absolutely loved your trackball on my Centipede. It breaks my heart every day. I still
I
don't have it.
appreciate you liking my balls, Mike.
Yeah, well, I always
It's
have,
very
Glenn.
nice. But that was a thing too, because when Arcade One first came out, I remember they originally announced it at $3.99. The
Yeah.
Centipede Asteroids were $3.99, but they came out at $2.99. And I still think to this day, for what you got for $299 back then, I thought was a very good deal. Even if you had to fix it a little bit, it was they were the first on the market for something like that. I thought it was great. I started having a problem. I started going to the $500-$600, and I
Oh
was
my
like,
God,
for the
yes.
same
Yeah.
stuff that wasn't there for that. But they were fixable, and that's kind of what we did. And I remember when John Hancock, he had gotten his Centipede, he had a problem with his trackball. I said, "Listen, I'm gonna send you one." Of course, I'm sending it out. You always have the hope they'll talk about it in a good way. I'm not. I mean, that's kind of how it works. And he did. He liked it. And actually, he had the Star Wars cabinet, and his Star Wars yoke had broken. And I sent him mine, and of course, I fixed his up. And I don't know if you guys know another YouTuber called Retro Recipes. He's a
No, I don't
very
know him personally.
He's a very nice guy. He's a fairly big channel, but he is like retro stuff. And he actually built. You probably have seen it. He took the arcade one up and turned it into the sit down unit.
Yes, I have seen it now that
That's
you
him.
mention it.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
him. So
Yeah.
same thing. He was playing it, and his yoke would only go to the left. He couldn't get it to the right. So I sent him out one of that as well. So that's I know a lot of people saying people call shills get thrown out a lot, or people need to do these things, but sometimes I do it, yes, out of the good nature, but also you expect people will try it out and hopefully get news. I am not a large company. I am like a guy that makes some things. I would like to be bigger. I would like more people to experience it and have a better product. So that's what you kind of do. You have to sometimes give away certain things and hope you get some positive feedback, or even not. Even if you get bad feedback, that's the other thing. I never take any criticisms that's bad. It's like, okay, what can we do to improve it? That's the one thing I didn't like. But some companies, they take it as like, you're
A
talking about it,
massive
and they don't.
insult. Like they
Right,
act like you're trying to submarine their business
right,
when all you're trying to do is give some constructive feedback. Now,
exactly,
sometimes we go a little bit far with it. Like I've been pretty unhappy lately with Arcade One Up. I mean, their change to like the NBA Jam Slimcade, like to me, that's like a spit in the face for people that have been here since the beginning, people that wanted the larger arcades. I was pretty mad about that. So I've probably been a little bit more aggressive with my constructive criticism on that
they don't
one.
look bad. They don't look bad, but it's not the way they should be going. To paraphrase something you said the other day, and I'm not sure if it was you or P Dubs or someone had said it, but there are multicades and then there are kind of recreations,
Yeah.
right? And Arcade One Up is getting away from something that they're the only ones who were doing it, which was almost getting there. I mean, they made mistakes like the Tempest with the screen in the wrong orientation and some wrong things, which is again why I was doing what I was doing. I was trying to make sure these companies and their consumers
Yeah.
talked, so they could say, "Oh, you know what? Maybe we're doing something wrong. Let's fix it," and not what actually happened. I don't want to go into that whole thing. I'm trying to put that behind me, but that was the whole point. That sometimes I was hoping that a company would take feedback. Like prime example is New Wave Toys.
Yep.
New Wave Toys, they're doing something. Someone says something like, "Oh, you Crystal Castles, that's not right." They're like, "Uh oh, hey, we fucked up. So guess what? We're gonna do this and make it right." Same with, I mean, obviously iArcade is gone now, but they made the attempt. They were trying to improve. They were putting USB ports on there. They reached out to me for different and other people. It wasn't just me. They reached out to a few people to make stuff for it. Unfortunately, they folded. But I made a promise, and
Yep.
I'm actually wearing their shirt right now because I made a promise to the community that I was going to make controls, and people bought like gold machines, figuring they have all these new fan controllers. So I put it on me and my team. My team, let me tell you, they wanted to murder me. But I'm like, yeah, we're gonna make a switcher. We're gonna do all this stuff, and they're like pulling their hair, like, what the fuck is
For
he
a dead
saying?
product, Glenn. What?
Yeah, right. But I made a promise, and I believed in that cabinet. I love that cabinet, and the fan base was very, they loved it too. And I said, listen, I don't want people to gut it. I want to preserve what it was. It didn't make it, so it's almost like a collector's item. I want to preserve what's there, but I want people to still use it. So if we do what I did with my Ultimate Control Panel and then the KVM switcher with the Viper, you can play your original games stock, press a button, and now you can take it to the next level. And I've gotten some feedback, and I say honestly, 99% positive. There's a couple of people who made some suggestions. They're not bad suggestions. So maybe we can work them in. But that's what companies should really be doing. It's not just, here's the product. If you don't like it, it's almost like movies today. If you don't like Star Wars episode, whatever, it's your fault. You're a toxic fan base. No, we're the consumer. We are spending money on your product, and we're saying, listen, we buy more if you fix these things. And that's what the company should be doing.
So, I think that's really cool that you mentioned that. Like, even going back to your sending out products and people being worried about shills and stuff like that. Unfortunately, there absolutely is people doing it, and maybe some people are doing it subconsciously, or some people think they're doing it, but it becomes a stereotype. So anybody who gets anything, obviously they're shilling, right? That's the way it goes. And it's the same thing with these companies. They can't separate what is trolling and just people that hate them from, the good constructive feedback they should be taking. Anybody knows nobody's perfect, and anybody could, use some guidance. I listen to people all the time. They're like, hey, Michael B, make your music less loud or something like that. I try to take that feedback, right? Oh yeah.
I was like,
yeah. Well, I'm only reason it's loud tonight is because I'm using Restream, so the interview goes okay. I didn't want to try to do OBS because we couldn't talk face to face.
Oh, you don't want to be like my show where it is roll wrong. It's a mess, but that's a charm. That's a charm.
So you'll know.
But real quick, but what you just said about there as well is, a company who makes a product always sends out certain product for review. That's just how it is. That's not shilling. That's what they do. Now, whether certain people get it over others, some people may be offended. They didn't get it. It's unfortunate, but that's how the world works. It's just how it works.
Yeah, and this they're a business too. Like, the only company that doesn't operate like a business is New Wave Toys, because they're like, review units for everybody. We appreciate what you do. But everybody else, he's so nice.
He's such a nice guy. He's too nice. He actually makes me, to me, he looks too nice. Yeah, that's how nice he is. He's really a genuine person. He's a very genuine person, and again, he cares, and that's the key. He really cares about what people think, and if he can fix something, he does. And sometimes it's cost him. I mean, it comes out of his pocket when something's not right.
So really quickly, a couple super chats. I'm not going to play any videos tonight. I've got a new grift, Glenn. So instead of super chat videos now, what I do is, from now on, when someone gives me money, I insult them. So if you want to be insulted, feel free to. I'm just joking about that. That was from Super Game Room Dudes the other night. So Pitbull says he's got a push-pull spinner put in his Mad Planets. $2 super chat.
Very nice. Very nice. I never played that back in the day. I know P-Dubs likes Mad Planets.
I've never played Mad Planets, not once. Terry Galloway, $4.99 super chat. Glenn, definitely looking forward to your arcade. Thank you for the quality in your products. I've purchased a few, and they make the gaming experience top notch. Thank you very much, Terry. And then one of my constant supporters, one of the nicest guys in the community, Kevin Clausen. Hey, Mike's money's been tight for me this month. Which YouTuber do you think I should stop giving super chats to? Maybe that'll be my poll tomorrow. I just got to be careful who I mention so people don't get the wrong impression. Thank you very much, Kevin. Love you, buddy. So another thing, just to be clear, you will notice I moved my lights in my background. So I've had lights in my office now for like probably 3 weeks, because I started filming for my At Games Legends Ultimate review, and I'm lazy, Glenn. I just haven't moved them. And people have been trying to start rumors that I don't know, the community's crazy. Anyways, I moved my lights tonight so everybody can relax.
I gotta tell you, I went to college for broadcasting, radio, television, production, 3-point lighting, and yet I never get the lighting right. I went to school for 3-point lighting, and I don't bother. There's a light there, and look, my TV's got a reflection on it. What are you gonna do?
That's good enough. That's good enough. All right. So first one I had was your trackball. Then I moved on, and you sent me out the Star Wars yoke. And I'm going to be honest with you, Glenn, I was a little nervous because that Star Wars was my baby. I was so nervous I was going to break it. And like the yoke
John Hancock, just so you know, John Hancock was exactly the same as Glenn. I don't want to touch it. I'm like, touch it. Yeah. Do it.
So you sent out your Star Wars yoke. I had a chance to play with it, and man, oh man, like it's an upgrade. Not that Star Wars necessarily needed an upgrade, but what I liked that you did about it was Here we go. P-dubs. Mike, you're covering your bookshelf. Mike hates books, confirmed. Anyways, what I liked about it was there was another competitor out there, Alan One. He had
Alan
made a
one.
yoke, and like it was cool, but it was so friggin' expensive. You came out and you produced something that, in my opinion, is probably roughly around the same quality, like at a fraction of his price. And this
Better
is what you
quality.
always do. Better
Well,
quality. Sorry, Glenn. I'm
let's,
sorry.
let's be honest. Let's be honest. The Allen one was a one-to-one recreation. Mine is
Yeah.
not. Theirs was a one-to-one recreation. If you wanted the exact same yoke that was in the arcade, except no nylon gears, you used aluminum, so it
Yeah.
improved it. So if you needed or wanted a true one-to-one recreation, that's Allen one. Mine was never meant to be that. Mine was to take, again, we try and take new technology for the old controllers. So I wanted something that wouldn't wear out. We use Hall effect sensors. Added additional buttons on there for added functionality, like coins and reset and stuff like that. A mouse mode. That was my bigger force. And with the Allen one, you have the gears, that came in the back. Mine was more flush, and we had all those features included at pretty much half the price, especially if you had to get USB for his.
Yeah.
So Allen one makes a great product. Absolutely does. If you need a recreation, that's the one you go to. Mine is not a perfect recreation, but it's damn close.
It's pretty good, Glenn. It's pretty freaking good. One of the other things I liked about it too was you weren't stuck just using it for like an arcade one-up replacement. Like there was so many cords coming down. You look at this thing and you're like, oh my god! But like you could use it with anything. And I know people did eventually end up going on buying like those mounts. Some used with PC, and like this is something that was what was so special about Star Wars. It was so hard to find a yoke, so hard to emulate. And now, not only did Arcade One Up had an option, but so many people out in the community could buy one of your yokes, plug it into their PC, and go that way if they wanted, or set it up with their multicade. So many different options.
And actually, I have another component coming out for the yoke. It'll attach. I was hoping to have it by now, but it'll attach to the handles to give it additional controls.
Yeah,
So if you want to play like Spy Hunter or other games, you will have more than enough buttons now on the controller for all those additional functionality. I should have it soon. I was hoping to be here, but I taxed my team with building this other thing now, so I kind of sidetracked them.
here we go. Sandman 1. I always say this wrong because it's S1 and Man 1. Glenn single-handedly saved my arcade one-up Atari 12-in-1 with the GRS spinner and rollerball. Love the quality, bud. Thanks for your hard work.
Very welcome.
See, the thing is, they all want to come here and talk about your big multicade. I'm making them wait to the big finish.
That's what you do. That's how you do it.
Yeah, P-dubs, get ready. Video starts at 59 minutes. Anyways,
It's like they're doing a giveaway, and all they're doing in the chat. Giveaway, giveaway, giveaway. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you wait now. Now it's gonna be longer.
Be all night. So I did want to go into kind of the history of a little bit. Here's some critical feedback though, because I know this is something that is going to be included on your, or an option to be included. And I can see it there in the background. There is one product you did send me that I didn't end up making a review on, and that was the Tron stick, or the GRS flight yoke. And I liked it, but I had a problem with it. I told you about it.
It's actually in my Zaxxon. I replaced my Zaxxon one with that.
Get out of town.
Yep.
So you sent it to me, and for some reason, I couldn't get it to go straight. It was sideways. And I kept telling you, Glenn, it's sideways. And you were like, you just got to turn it. And I was like, dude, I did. It turned sideways. So, anyways, it was mixed up. One thing I will say about it, obviously, it was much better quality than the arcade one-up flight yoke. So much better. But one thing I would suggest, I find it to be a little dainty. Is there any chance you could come out with like an XL version, something a little bit bigger?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. So we were working with Stephen Berger, who designed our gate switchers, and I honestly don't know what happened to him. I know he was sick, and he might have actually passed away. I really don't know.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
We've reached out for a long time to try to get hold of him. So we actually have designed a whole bunch of stuff, but it was with him. So until we got the final okay from him, I don't want to release something without him. So the answer is we had it for 2+ years now, but it's like the Tron stick flight yoke on steroids. So it is full size, but it does a lot more, or has the ability to do a lot more. So again, if I get hold of his family, I just don't know. So it's just been in limbo, honestly.
Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. I don't mean to call you out like that. I just wanted to provide some constructive criticism.
Oh no,
I
no,
do.
no, no call out at all. And if anyone knows what happened, Stephen Berger, we've been trying to get hold of him. We've called, emails, messages. We have money for him too because we pay a royalty for his gate switches, and we haven't been able to get hold of him. So my only assumption is he was sick. He might have passed away. Maybe he's just really sick.
Over
I don't
now.
know. But if someone knows what happened to him, please reach out. I'd love to know.
All right, so Charlie Chuck has a question. Charlie is actually recovering. He's been pretty sick lately. Good friend of the channel, good friend, Canadian friend. So he's got a question about the Glencade. We're going to come back to this a little bit because this gets into more of the questions about the Kickstarter or Indiegogo, whatever
Sure.
you're going to do.
Sure.
So I know that. Yeah, I'll just mention it now so we remember it. I know that some of the feedback I've got is, hey, this thing looks really friggin' cool, but I don't want a Pixelcade. So we'll come back to that a little bit later. And I got some suggestions. Suggestions.
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
And I got to catch up here because we get a super chat here from Houston Amusements, $4.99. I bought a Robotron plus Smash TV Partycade this week from Arcade Mod Shop. Arcade One Up will never produce this. Probably not.
Probably not.
So that's one of the things I'm excited for your full size, because you can put the art on it and build your own Robotron. Or I was thinking about it earlier. This is probably the cab I dug like from scratch. Put the 26-inch monitor in it. I'm just gonna make my own Robotron because it's never gonna happen. All right, so we're caught up. Where were we, Glenn? I get lost. I'm old now. My mind doesn't work like it used to. So we were just talking about the flight stick. The other thing is, yes, I love the concept of your push-pull spinner. Is there any chance you'll also make a bigger one than that? As you can tell, I'm not like Nostalgia. I'm used to working with bigger things in my hands. So is there a chance we'll get a bigger version of the push-pull
spinner? The push-pull spinner itself, no.
It feels like a push-pull pinner because it's
pinner does, but that won't change because we wanted to make it the size of the buttonhole. But the tops, it's really the top you interface with. So if you're looking for a bigger top, we possibly could, but there's other people who could definitely make it.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of partners we'll go into here, and that was the other strategic thing here was this is almost like remember, I don't know if they're the Ford Escort back in the day. Ford, it was called the World Car, right?
Yeah,
because it had all these people putting in the culmination of this particular machine is, again, I try to get the best people in the community to work with us. If you remember my channel, people remember my channel when I was older. My intro video was like 10 minutes long, and my end was 20 minutes long because I always promoted all these other channels and people, and I feel very strongly. Mike knows I probably lost 50,000 subs because I'm tired of watching this intro. It's way too long. But at the end, I wanted to promote other people because I think that's huge. That we are in a community, a retro community, that we should be brethren and there and helping and promoting. Like when P-Dubs first started, remember, he had to get 1,000 subs before he could actually, I guess, do a live stream on YouTube, and he had gotten the pinball machine from Toy Shock, right? So we all got together to do that. Now we all regret it, right? Now we're like, oh man,
he's become an animal. Like there's no stopping P-Dubs now. Like at first you meet him and you're like, what a super nice guy. He's not competitive at all.
Yeah, get to know him.
And then you realize he's really competitive.
I'll never forget when we were at the Cleveland Gaming Classic. He was playing pinball.
Yeah.
And I saw him. I ran over like a fan, like, oh my God, that's P-Dubs. And I went up to him. He's like, oh, and they saw it was me. He's like, you fucking asshole, my guy. He was like all excited that someone recognized him, but it was just me, man.
Yeah. Really quickly, I know my buddy Stock Jock, he killed me. We played Robotron in Cleveland last year when we went to one of the bars, and like he said, yeah, I can't wait to play this with you. And I scored, I don't know, like somewhere between 30 and 60,000. He scored like over 100 without breaking a sweat, right? Anyways, the reason I bring this guy up, everybody say a warm welcome to Stock Jock. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Stock Jock.
Happy birthday, Stock Jock.
Great guy. Great guy. Looking forward to seeing him in Chicago. It's a bummer you can't go. You went to every convention this year except pinball.
I kind of blew like all my funds, and I had a lot of friends I was sponsored to, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
to get out there. So there's nothing left. There's nothing left, Mike.
Glenn's broke. He's broke.
Broke.
I'm super excited. I had no idea New Wave Toys was going. I'm super excited to see Eduardo.
Shiloh's mad at me.
Oh, Shiloh's mad at you for not going?
You're going, Mike. I can't afford it. He's like, he's not happy.
Yeah. I remember when At Games was unveiling their Legends Pinball 4K last year at Pinball Expo. The whole reason that I went to Cleveland in the first place, and like this is how it happens, right? Like the reason we went to Chicago the first time was Michael Zvrebeck reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, would you consider coming to the IRcade event? Just wanted to give you a heads up, we're having it." And then snowballed. And then last year in Cleveland, At Games gave me this big heads up. We're going to Cleveland, so I got the impression I think they were trying to announce the ALP 4K in Cleveland. So then I get home from Cleveland and like I'm dead broke. And PK writes me and he's like, "Oh, are you going to Chicago? Your fans would love it." I was like,
airfare, hotels, and rental car, man. It's murder.
Yeah, that's what people don't understand. It's not just the airfare and like paying for the event, but like even one of the reasons we always get the house is because a hotel room is like $150 a night. Right?
I'm glad I didn't go to your house, that house that night. You guys were animals. I got some sleep. You guys were like dead the next day. Dead.
Oh, I felt so terrible the next day. I did not
you
feel
guys
good.
Show up to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, where's the Michael B crew? They were out partying last night. At like 1 o'clock, they strolled in.
Yeah. So, you ever see the end of Batman Returns when the Penguin gets up and he's dying and he's like, "I just need a drink of water." That's what I felt like going into Cleveland the second day. All right, so we've kept them waiting long enough, Glenn. We'll come back and talk about some other stuff, but I just wasted so much time. I wanted to talk about how you transitioned into the Build-a-cade. This was your first real, attempt at an arcade with your controls in it, your ideas. Right now, they're on sale for $50. The best, gosh darn, Raspberry Pi or GRS Viper case on the market. If you want to check one out, it's a functioning arcade and the best way to store your Raspberry Pi. Check them out, 50% off. I've left a link to Glenn's website in the description of the video. GRS Thundersticks Build-a-cade. Buy yours today.
And not only that, if you're looking forward to the full size, get the mini now and have it on your shelf when it's ready. Yeah. Right. Like, remember Kenner with the Star Wars collection? You have a little post-it card? This is the post-it card. Get that and get the big one later.
I know there's a lot of people in the community that like love New Wave Toys, love quarter arcades, but they don't like the little stuff, right? Like they can't enjoy it. They can't play it that way. I know my buddy Paul Mindeman, he always says like, "Oh, it's too small to enjoy." We kind of make fun of it at times. Tell it. That's what Ristalch's wife says. Anyways, so the thing about it was the concept is so friggin' cool, Glenn. What you do with your Build-a-cade, you can change the screen. Of course, you eventually came out with like a socket where you can change the control panels easily. I mean, I just didn't want to go through 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours to take it apart and put the new control panels in, but so many cool concepts that could be utilized in like a giant multicade, but done in this small form factor. It's so exciting to hear that you're going in that direction now. And honestly, it's beyond my expectations because I expected you to do something. I didn't expect you to go to the extent that you're going. I mean, this is a full-size cab. This is the real deal. Yeah.
Full size, 100%. And, it's been a while, but, when we first did the trackball and the spinner, I had the ideas for those other controls. I mean, T-Stick was fine just doing the spinner and trackball, and that would have kind of been it. So I got them doing these other controllers, and that's kind of what you do. You start small, you have your niche, and you build your product, and you build it well, and you get good feedback. And again, customer service is key. It's not just making it and selling it. You got to make sure your customer service is good, the people are happy what they have, and so forth. And you keep doing that, and then again, I wanted something myself. I wanted a Donkey Kong cabinet. I wanted a 1/6 scale that I could 3D print. That's where I started. And my friend Gary at Arcade Workshop I kind of tasked him with that, and he came out with it's actually up in that corner right over there, the very top, top of the shelf. If I can get my finger over there, but I have Donkey Kong over there, and once I got it, I said, you know what? I bet you other people are gonna like this too. And that's where this came from. That's where the Build-a-cade kind of came from. And it's a kit. I know people say we want to build, but building it to me is half the fun. You kind of see how things work. And this is STEM certified. When we get our Viper very soon finalized for this, it'll be included in the kits. We can sell it to education schools. And they can build it in there. And then, obviously, with the shape in here, we make these little parts you can put in there and literally just kind of do one of these jobs. If I can do it with the side of the TV screen here. I'm gonna have to put it down here because I can't see it that way.
Yeah, Glenn needs glasses.
I do. I really
we
need
talked
glasses.
about this earlier. Really
talked about
quickly here, Glenn. We got a super chat from our buddy Sandman1, S1 and Man1, $5 super chat. Hey Glenn, good luck with the multitude. I think he means multicade. I wish you would do a dedicated Zaxxon or Berserk.
Well, see, that's the thing. So let's talk about that. So, the Build-a-cade, like this,
Yeah.
or the big one, is a multicade, right? So you can make it look like anything you want, but it was never designed, and it's not designed to be like a one-to-one recreation of certain machines. I mean, that's what New Wave Toys is. There's a difference. New Wave Toys is going to make the perfect replicas. And even when you get to like bigger machines, I'm sure there are other companies that will hopefully come out like Basic Fun. I don't know if I truly buy the Basic Fun one, but if they come out with a recreated centipede, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Mine is it's a multicade that you can add artwork to and make it look the part. I mean, we'll get into control panel and stuff, but I'm not really there to make a truly specific licensed one, but maybe one or two, and maybe we'll get to that later about that. I'll leave it up to you whether you ask that question, Mike.
So just really quickly on your Build-a-cades, like your Build-a-cade's awesome. Like I have it. I think it's really well done. Controls are good.
Watch this video putting it together. It's the best 6 hours you'll watch.
But like I'll break the fourth wall a little bit. What really changed for a lot of people is the Build-a-cade is cool. You can do a lot with it in artwork and stuff like that. But that piece you just showed and the conversion to make it a Donkey Kong cab, that blew a lot of people's mind. I know there's people out there that have dreams of Donkey Kong, dreams of their own Popeye cab at home and stuff like that. And this is a name that, I said I would never say again on this show, but I will mention it. Even the Rexer show, huge Donkey Kong fan. If anybody's going to be super critical of a product, it would be him. And he even loves the Replicade done with the Donkey Kong branding. Like, it looks beautiful. It's probably the only chance. I know Quarter Arcade said they're talking to Nintendo, but really this is the closest we'll get to having like a Donkey Kong at home in any capacity.
Right. And it's unfortunate because I think if Nintendo did come out with their own like cabinet, and like anything, it would sell 1 million copies. And again, this is people like you should. We want you to like make it and sell it, and I can't. I mean, that's breaking the law. I can't do that. But it's not hard to do. The Build-a-cade, like I said, a regular person, 20 minutes, Mike, putting it together, and then the 3D parts just clip in, and then Joe Sabo's artwork, and you're done. Now, other people like Arcade Graphics, if you don't want to go through that whole piece, Arcade Graphics makes artwork, Escape Pod makes graphics, or you could do it yourself. We sell the stencils for it. But the point is, this is something unlike New Wave Toys or the companies. I like when people put it together. And there are a lot of people who said they didn't want to do it, but the sale was so good they bought one. They sat down with their sons and their daughters. They had a great time. They said the kids helped. They put it together and they love it. That's what I want people to do. I want the whole experience. I want that whole retro experience to be sparked in your kids, so they keep it alive. And when we're gone, my concern, I don't know when I'm dead, but if I do, I want to make sure that these old stuff are preserved. I don't want the stuff to be forgotten. This stuff is like artwork.
Yeah. 100%, Glenn. I think that's what people need to understand sometimes. Like, there's nostalgia for this stuff. There's history for this stuff. And a lot of us just, I don't know, it's selfish too. We don't want to see our youth and our passions disappear. So we're trying to preserve it for other people, right?
That's it. And when I was at like the Cleveland Gaming Classic, and I was at the Too Many Games, and I was at the Long Island Gaming Expo, seeing 5 and 6-year-olds. There was one kid, he sat down and played Star Wars, and this little 5-year-old was like blowing up this Death Star for like an hour. This other kid had to be 4 when my Sin Target Pro shooting zombies. That's what it's about, and the parents get excited. Even mothers watching their kids do it, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at him!" That's the family togetherness doesn't happen anymore because people are sitting with their phones in front of their face. But with stuff like this, it kind of gets them together, and that's, I think, very important.
Charlie Chuck, 10 minutes to put together, 10 months waiting for Zabo.
Well, you can make your own artwork. You can definitely do it, and you can 3D print the parts. I have them on Thingiverse. You can print them. So,
Yeah.
but yes, he makes really good stuff. Some things are worth the wait.
See, Glenn, there's so much I want to talk to you about too, because we can talk about how the iArcade situation didn't work out. But let's go, because it's 50 minutes.
Your show.
You're a
It's
busy
your
dude,
show.
I know.
You're the leader, man.
Let's talk about your new product. So essentially, what you're doing here is you're making a really big Build-a-cade. That's the idea here, right?
That was when I originally pitched it to my guys. I said, listen, I want to make, like, we have the Build-a-cade, we have the shape, we have all things about it. I want to make that full size. To go, oh, quarter scale? I'm like, no. Full size. 80% scale? No. Full size. But I want him to, let's see what people think. I wanted this thing actually all made out of plastic. I wanted it to be plastic because if you look around my basement, there was a flood in here. So I figured if it was all plastic, you could put it in your bathtub. It wouldn't matter. But right now, look at our Sin Target Pro. We can make it look like wood, feel like wood. We could have done all that. But long story short, they felt that it still would be better in wood. So it's going to be in wood. It's not going to be plastic. So I'm a little disappointed. So I lost that battle because I did think if your wife wanted to keep it in the garage or someplace that was damp, a plastic machine that looked like wood and felt like wood would have been better. But that's not the case. It's going to be wood.
So a couple callbacks to old school home arcade YouTube. I know Stringer Films isn't here, but if he was, he'd be super excited, because if it was plastic, you're talking about waterproof, and there's nothing Stringer Films like more in the home arcade community than waterproof.
Yep. That was my original thought, because no one is doing like a full scale machine in like a plastic, and it would have been cheap plastic, even like the Build-a-cade, it would have been solid. But my thought was water damage. I have my Zaxxon over there, and my extremely rare, it's like 3 in the country, 4 in the country, of this NES Pro Home Arcade over here. That's water damage because it got flooded.
What you know how mad I get about NES home arcades, Glenn?
Well, it was a Toys R Us thing, and you put your NES in it. It's just to play NES games, so that's what it was for. But there's like literally like 4 or 5 in the country. That's like they're gone. Yeah, and it was a collectible at that point, so it's damaged. Now I can fix it, but it wouldn't be original anymore now if I did.
So I'll tell you a story. Breaks my heart. When I first moved, I moved from. I live in the same neighborhood now. I grew up in until I was about 12 years old, and when I was 12, I moved to this place in outside the city. It was more of a rural area. When I got there, it was the weirdest place in the world. I came from all my friends having NES to I moved up to somewhere, and I was like, hey, do you want to play NES? And they were like, no, we all had TurboGrafx 16. Yeah. I was like, what? And what had happened is when Radio Shack put all the TurboGrafx 16s on sale, the parents went out and bought them all the TurboGrafx 16s, right? So I got immersed in TurboGrafx 16, but there was one other kid on the road. They had a Super Nintendo, and I knew no one else with a Super Nintendo, so you used all the sneak down there. But where it gets exciting, on top of having a Super Nintendo, they also had an NES, but they didn't have a normal NES. You know what they had in their house? An M82 demo unit.
Really?
Yeah. So what had happened? They came from the U.S. They moved to Newfoundland because the mom was from Newfoundland, but their father was from Alabama. And when the NESs first came out, you remember they were really hard to get. Like people couldn't get them. So
I was in New York, so I was the pilot area, so I got one of the very first ones.
So he bribed the store owner, and he said, like, I'll pay whatever. Just, I want to get the NES, sell it to me. And he bought the M82 demo unit. So and here's the thing, their house got broken into and someone stole it and brought it down to a pawn shop and sold it off. I spent the better part of probably 3 years when I started collecting Nintendo stuff again, trying to locate where this thing went, and it breaks my heart.
Well, the worst thing I ever did, I actually had an original Intellivision computer component.
Yeah.
There were only 2,000 made. It actually had a tape drive built in. You dropped your master component like into it, and Mattel was actually buying them back, so they were extremely rare. But I wanted a motorcycle, and I traded it for a Kawasaki K90. I think it was a K90. And dumbest thing I ever did because I actually crashed that bike. It's gone.
Glenn, what were you doing out running around on a crotch rocket?
It was fun until I ran into a rock and went flying.
That's what happens. All right. So back to your arcade, because I'm not doing a good enough job shilling it here yet. I told you I'd shill the hell out of it. We've been having a history lesson instead of me doing it. So you got your big Build-a-cade.
Yep.
I know Patrick put out a video yesterday, and you got to be excited. Patrick's video blew up a little bit, had like 4,000 views overnight. So people are excited about this. This got to give you a little bit of hope. We got some basic information. First thing I want to talk about is, of course, the screen. So you're going with a full-size arcade. Now you're going with a 26-inch screen,
screen, right?
That's pretty exciting. Like, one of the complaints about home arcade so far has been people like, screen's too small, screen's too small, screen's too small. You're going as big as we can get with LCD in the 4x3 screen area. I know me and you talked a little bit about it. Do you want to talk about the screen at all and what you're doing?
Sure can. So we're it's definitely going to be 26 inches. We have a supplier for a 4.3, but the options are all open because it comes down to as well cost, right? So we have to balance everything. So it one way or the other, it's going to look like a 4.3 screen. I know people bought like the Numbskull. I love the Numbskull machines. The Space Invaders is my favorite. I can tell you right now.
It's so good. Yeah.
So it's a wide screen in there, but you only see part of the screen that you're supposed to see. So we may have to do that. Again, it's about cost, quality, and value as well. But it will be a very good, viewable from all angles type of screen. Now that they want to have that bad viewing angle thing. So that part's still open. When I talked about this last Friday, they all again want to kill me because I spilled the beans a little early. But I want to push. I want to push my team as well. I want them to say, listen, I want this out or going before the holidays. I want to get started, and now they can't drag their feet because now I've kind of pulled the plug on it because I really think it's important right now. People are cramming for it, and I think this is the time to release it.
Jolly Green says, I'm interested in this, but clueless how to do the ROMs. Jolly Green, you've been around long enough. I feel like you already know this. You just contact Cool Toy. Cool Toy has the ROMs.
Did you? He's got a website called Cool ROMs. Did you know that?
Well, that's been shut down.
I know. But you get the point. But,
so you will have to source the ROMs yourself, but don't worry. Usually there's people in the community that help each other out.
There are, but now the Build-a-cade Max, we use a different name every time. Build-a-cade Max, Build-a-cade whatever, is going to have the Viper Venom. Okay, so my regular Build-a-cade uses a Raspberry Pi, but we now will be offering the Viper in it. That Viper is an Arcade 3566, which is perfect for this little machine, and it runs arcade software. And arcade software does have a downloader built in for some games in there that you have to agree you are legally entitled to, and then you download it and puts it on there. Outside of that, Michael's right. It is basically like a Raspberry Pi. You can load games from other sources and put it either on the internal storage, because we do have 32 gigabytes of internal storage, SD card, USB, hard drive, multiple ways to do that. But the Build-a-cade large size fries, we'll call it that way this time, will have the Viper Venom, and that's going to be an Arcade 3588. So that's basically going from, I don't know, I guess a Mustang GT to a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Tesla Model Plaid. It's a much more powerful SBC, and that's what we'll be offering with that. I am also talking with my team about my iArcade switcher, because I think it'd also be a good value in there to have the ability to use the internal Viper and just press a button. And if you guys have a powerful machine or something else you want to plug in there through HDMI, you have that option. Now, even if I don't do it we're going to be doing tiers, like the base unit. It could be an option you add now or add later. I saw someone say they don't want to buy the bit pixel right now. These will be options, okay? So we're going to have like a base unit you can pledge for, and then you can, add a la carte other things or add a package, like buying a car. You could buy the basic car or the basic car with AC, or if you get package A, you get the rims, you get the tail light, then you get the gallon of gas.
I hate the packages with the cars because I go in there and I'm like, yeah, I just want your basic car with a sunroof. And they're like, no, you got to get the EXT version with this, this, and this. And I was like,
Well, we're not gonna quite do that, but
yeah,
I know what you're saying. But we're going to be giving people some options in there. And again, even if you bought like the base unit, you could always add stuff later. That's the whole point. That the
yeah.
Build-a-cade is, added onable by not only myself, but my partners as well.
So, not to make your life more difficult, but I wanted to talk about this. You got to look at where you're coming in here. You're coming in with competition in the multicade space, right? Obviously, the Legends Ultimate's out there. The Legends Ultimate 4K is coming out. Another product that I was strongly considering until you announced yours was the Nova Blast. So I don't know if you can do this, but one of the things people like about the Nova Blast that's way above my pay scale is it gives so many options to set stuff up. So you talked about doing a switcher from your board to other ones. Would it be possible, and how expensive would it be, maybe as options, to have other hookups where you can hook up, like, say, a real arcade board, or you can hook up your PC or whatever you want, kind of like what the Nova
Yep.
Blast does?
Yep. So there are solutions for like JAMA boards and type of
Yeah.
things to convert to HDMI and USB. So yeah, we won't be doing that again. One of my third party people, we can go, talk about who they are. We offer something along those lines, but that's outside the scope of what I want to accomplish. But can it be done? Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So, 26-inch screen, rotatable. So, is it going to be like the Nova Blast where you set it and then have to set it one way or the other? Or is this something that you figure out some way to automate it? Maybe kind of like what the Legends Ultimate Mini did, where you unscrew it, pull it out. What are you thinking there for the rotatable screen? Is it going to be easy access, or is it going to be, Build-a-cade access for the control panels like me?
Well, that's the thing. So what we learned a lot with the Build-a-cade Mini, we'll call
Yeah.
that way now. So with the rotatable screen, I've been pushing very hard. I would like to have it automated. I really would like it
Oh,
when you pick the game or you press a button like my gate switcher and it does it. But
yeah.
again, it's coming down to expense and complexity. So maybe that's something we can add later on if we can't do it now. Again, I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm just saying this is things we're discussing. And if we find out it can't be done right now, um, because it's too expensive for this, or for kits. So it'd be something you could purchase like after the fact.
Yeah.
I do want the screen to be semi easy to rotate and a mechanism when you do change it, the Viper knows and automatically rotates for you. Kind of like what Tato did with that little
I
mini
was
machine.
just gonna bring that up because I
Right.
have I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's the Taito, where you just pop it in and pop it out,
You
and
press it
you could do,
and the screen
yeah,
comes up, you rotate it, and as soon as you do that, the software knows and it rotates it. So
exactly.
at a
Yeah.
minimum, at a minimum, the arcade OS would be aware and make that change. It's just how easy screen rotation is because again, since we're having still discussions with the screen, whether it's a true 4:3 or it has to be a widescreen, that'll affect how the rotation is going to happen. But it's definitely something I'm working. And if you guys know me, it's something I have to be able to do myself and enjoy doing versus being annoying. So I'm doing my best with my team. Actually, I had a meeting with them this morning about this, so they're looking at ways to do that.
So here is Home Arcade member and Canadian political advocate, Unacceptable Fringe, $5 super chat. Came in late. This was a question I had to ask you as well, Glenn. Will it ship to Canada, and are you looking to sponsor, Glenn? I'm ordering a few if they ship. Keep up the great work. Thank you for this.
Maybe we should talk about some of the partners, and maybe that'll answer some of those questions. What do you think about
Okay.
that? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for the super chat. Unacceptable fringe stuff. Yeah, I have to ask this. Like, obviously, I've already stated I'm going to support you. I don't want you to send me one. I'm going to buy it myself. I am excited about this. I'm not going to get a Pixelcade because I hate Pixelcades. If there's an LCD marquee, I might get that one. Is this going to be available in Canada? Can we buy it from the Kickstarter, or are we going to have to wait for a retail version later on?
Okay. So let me talk about the partners, and I think they may come into play with that type of
Okay.
answer. So obviously, one of the partners is T-Sticks, which is the main partner working this project with me. Also, Arcade Workshop, who were the people or person, I say Gary, who helped design the original Build-a-cade and a lot of controllers. In fact, I'll drop another bomb here. We're going to be making a Qbert compatible joystick just for P-Dubs. So Qbert will
Just
be
for P-dubs.
right. So there will be a Qbert diagonal
That's
joystick
good.
in there. Now for like artwork, we're gonna have obviously Joe Sabo's arcade on board, Escape Pod of the two big guys who right now are on board, open to other people, but you'll have options. Joe Sabo's, I think, makes beautiful acrylic artwork, but also great arcade vinyl. But so is Escape Pod. So those will be two people. Escape Pod as well. Now for the control panels, right? So we didn't even dive into the. We have a lot to discuss on the control panels, but outside of my control panel, 99 Lives Arcade will be one person who will be making different control panel cutouts. Do it yourself retro arcade. Another great guy makes control panels, and Tulsa Arcades will also. He's got a milling machine. He'll be involved as well. Now, as far as the marquee goes, best partner to have with that is Al Link. So we will have both the bit pixel, but also the LCD pixel. You have an option of both. We're working with him to make sure that when you do put it in the Build-a-cade supersized fries version, it looks like stock. It's not going to look like it's added on after the fact. We're going to make sure it's in there, and I'm also going to make sure we have power requirements for it. So it's basically just put it in. We already have power ready to go, like for it. I think it
Nice.
makes it easier.
Yeah.
Obviously, for the operating system, we've partnered with Arcade once again. Great team. And again, this time we'll be running the Arcade 3588. I want to be clear because our P-Dubs posted yesterday the 3566, which was for the small one, but the big one will be the Arcade 3588, a much more powerful one. And I know Steps brought this up, Steps Gaming, a lot of other people. So obviously, I have a licensing deal with SNK. So I am just in some talks. I'm not promising anything, but I'm in talks with them, very early talks, see possibly if we can get a license for maybe doing a special edition tier Build-a-cade Akari Warriors or something along
Nice.
those lines.
Yeah.
So I can't promise that one at all. That because again, that one is there'll be licensing fees and stuff like that. But if they agree to it, I'm open to it for sure. So if someone did want like an Akari Warriors, I know actually James Hates Everything actually made one, and I started, never finished. I start 10 projects, never finished any of them, but he did a really nice job with it. So those are all the partners. So the last person I want to mention is the Buy Stuff store. So the Buy Stuff store does a lot of different things. They do woodworking, they do mods, but lo and behold, they do have a place in New York City, and they also have a place, obviously, I think in Canada, Mike, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, just outside Toronto. Yeah.
There we go. So again, I can't promise anything just yet because these are all early talks, but it's possible we might be able to work out a deal where we ship to, because my warehouse is in Jersey. It will ship, to maybe their spot in New York, and they can get it more inexpensive to people in Canada. But as far as us ourselves, we would probably ship to anywhere in the world, but I can't promise on shipping from us. But possibly the Buy Stuff store can help.
So here's an idea I'll float out, but you might be a little bit nervous on the quality control side of this. Could you share your plans with them and have them manufacture their own versions here in Canada?
I wouldn't rule anything out. No. Doing like a licensing deal. We are about the community. We're about people. And you know me, I'm about doing things that good quality, but the most inexpensive way to do it. So I would never say no to anything. So, and I know that they do good work. They do very good work.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't rule that out. No.
Yeah. They were a little bit expensive though. Did you see that like $19,000 Super Sprint they put out? They got so mad at me when I did that. I talked about how expensive it was. P-Dubs buys everything, man. That guy is loaded. He's got everything coming, like anything you can think of. He even bought the Polycade. Who the fuck wants a Polycade?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I love Nolan Bushnell. His family, his son, all that stuff. The idea with the removable control panels. That was always obviously my Build-a-cade had. It was always my thing. but I just do not think that's a very attractive looking unit. I just don't.
No,
I mean, I
it's
guess
it's
if
not
you're
for
in
me.
a super modern house, maybe, you know, uh, I just it doesn't appeal to me at all. But some people do, and that's fine. I mean, I have always the ultimate respect for the Bushnells. I mean, they
Oh
can
yeah.
poop on my head, and that would be like, that's cool. I'll never wash my head again. But that for me just wasn't an attractive unit.
Yeah, I'm not it's not my jam at all. Like I have no interest in it, but it's one of those things. Celebrities got it, probably really super high quality controls, comes with a good namesake and all that stuff, but not in a million years. Kevin Clausen, $2 super chat. Glenn's got quality, Mike's got Canada. That's true. And we've got Sandman 1. And Sandman, you're going to correct me at some point how I'm supposed to say your name right. Wish you could make the controls plug and play exchangeable for joysticks to Tron sticks so it's not too busy on the control board. Yeah. Thank you
We
very
need to
much for the super chat. Glenn, you want to
great
handle
super
that one?
chat. We're going to segue right into that. So I mentioned before that control panels will be offered by 99 Lives Arcade, Do It Yourself Retro Arcade, maybe Telestar Arcade as well. But now we can talk about my control panel.
Yeah.
So as Michael was saying before, on the original Build-a-cade, this was kind of made really for just a one game, a Donkey Kong game that I wanted. And then I said, let's make a little spinner and trackball and those other different controllers in there. So it's not hard, but it's also not quick and easy. You do have to open the back. You have to pull the sides open a little bit, pop it out, pop next one in. It takes me 30 seconds. Mike may take an hour, I understand. But
Hour and 30 minutes.
that was a problem. So we've had a design on the drawing board for a long time for you ready? Is that a good enough pause? A
Make it more
modular,
dramatic. More
more
dramatic. Come
dramatic,
on.
a modular control panel. So what I mean by that is under here, we have hydraulics, and you'll be able to lift this up, and the controllers will be modules. They'll go in, you put them in where you want them, spinners, joysticks, whatever, lock them in place, bring your lid down, you have that. You want just spinners? Open it up, pull out your joysticks, put in just 2 spinners, close down, lock it up, and done. But I tell my team that, and I want some feedback, guys, from you guys. If you want that to be what this is, or stick with the more traditional, maybe a button, pull up the whole panel, and drop the panel in. That will be something that, like again, 99 Lives Arcades, Do It Yourself Retro Arcades, you'll be able to do. They'll make that type of panel that would just go incomplete. But do you want me to do that as well? Or do you like the idea of a modular system where the hydraulics opens up, drop in the components, the buttons that you want, close it, and go? So that's right now what my team is pushing for. And I'm, again, always open to ideas and suggestions. I'm definitely traditional. I would have liked just to go with the full drop in panel, lock in place, and go. But if you guys think that you like the idea of this modular system, that's kind of we're on that teetering point of which way to go. They really want to go with the modular. I think it's a cool idea, but I think honestly, I would like to still stick with the regular panel. But I'll love some feedback on that one.
So quick $2 super chat from the Penny Arcade. Please, 2 sticks for Robotron. Glenn, there's a very real good chance I'll probably buy one of these and modify it into a Robotron. That Donkey Kong's coming first.
You already know I've done the Robotron in the small Build-a-cade, so that's not a problem at all.
So you can see the feedback coming in. Panel route, probably best. Different panels. Like I like the idea about this. One of the things that I don't think people see the possibility for is this can become the Swiss Army knife of multicades, right? So if you buy these different panels, and I know P-Dubs talks about it, like who wants all these panels lying around? But the ability.
Hold that thought too, Mike. What you just said right there. We'll get back to where you're going to store them. So we'll come back to that.
Okay. So like for me, the idea of having a multicade, like already it's cool enough that you can switch from horizontal to vertical monitor. But then being able to be playing your arcade and all of a sudden be like, I want to play a bunch of driving games now. Pop out the panel, stick in a wheel conversion kit, and then all of a sudden it becomes a driving arcade. Well, I want to play like twin stick games now. Pop out the panel, pop in your twin stick games. Like to me, like that's something all of us want. Like the Legends Ultimate, it's great because you got your trackball, you got your spinners, but it doesn't do everything. In order to put a flight yoke in, you've got to, do a conversion. In order to do the driving wheel, you got to buy stuff kit. So an arcade that has all that stuff ready there, that is so friggin' awesome.
So back to where would you store them, Mike?
Where would you store them, Glenn?
Where would you store them? So, obviously this is a small one, so it's not going to work here, but we are going to have a fully working coin door with a little bin inside to connect your coins as they drop in. But next to that, there's all this empty space, isn't there? Press.
Nice.
Slide a panel in, slide a panel in, slide a panel in, slide a panel in, slide a panel in.
You're thinking, Glenn. You're thinking. I like it.
So that took me a while to explain to my guys, but they got it. They got it. So that if we go with the panel route, which again, I understand, I think that's probably still a better way to go. And maybe we can offer that modular panel as a drop-in panel if people wanted to do that. That's where they would store.
I think that's the best bet. So then people can really get at what they want. Like for me personally, this is something Brooklyn Menace brought up on Step Show earlier. There's the possibility that even though this is a multicade, it doesn't mean that people will just buy one, because for people that like to do this modding stuff, there's a real possibility I'm going to get one. I'm going to turn it into a Donkey Kong, and I want as accurate as I can a control panel for Donkey Kong. And then after that, I'll just buy another cabinet because I'm just going to play Donkey Kong on the Donkey Kong cabinet. Maybe I'll play the other Donkey Kong games, Popeye, Nintendo style ones, but there's opportunities to do multiples of these, right? Like you possibly buy more than
that's
one.
what I have right behind me. These are basically mini supersized Build-a-cades behind me, the 1/6 scale versions. And I can play all the games on one. But you can see even in my TV behind me, I made a Donkey Kong, I made a Robotron, I made a Popeye, I made a Donkey Kong Jr., I made an Arkanoid, Robotron, Cubert. That's what people do. I want to give you guys the tools and the best tools to play them on, but make it your own. Let's build your cade. That's what it was always touted as. Make it what you want.
Yeah, I think like I saw a lot of people, and I know like to this level, we want like recreations as close as possible. So people were excited, but then they were like, oh, the side panels aren't going to be accurate. Guys, like take some stuff from Cool Toy. We can modify the side panels. It's not that hard. So if you want it that way, if the art's not enough, I'm sure we can figure it out. But like that's not something we can expect from you guys. I mean, like I don't think people understand like how much goes into actually building like these kits and stuff like that. You can't make a million different designs for the side panels.
No. But again, with companies like Tulsa Arcades and 99 Lives Arcades, those are the guys who can make different parts. Like I still envision like a Battle Zone hood. I mean, obviously we this part here will go on here, but I like to see a little spot where you kind of look in and you got my two joysticks and you're playing Battle Zone, things along those lines. But that's what the community is for. There's so many people with great ideas. I want to see what other people do. Don't just take what I'm putting out there. Mine's just your canvas. I want to see what you guys can do with it.
Well, Donkey Kong and Robotron is my plans.
I figured.
Anyways, Cornercade says, Glenn, I will ask if you can send us one. Here's the thing about Cornercade. He has no social filter, right? Like he'll just ask. He's like literally in your show. He'll be like, I want to come on. Can I come on your show? Glenn, send me a cabinet. I love him. It rubs people the wrong way, but it's just who he is. He's not trying to be a dick.
Listen, if you don't ask, you don't know. If you don't ask,
that's what he
pose
says
the
too,
question, you'll never know.
See, I'm too shy for that.
Now, Glenn, Glenn could have came down the street and just knocked on my door. Why are you doing it here, Glenn? Come on, man.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for the super chat. Glenn needs to pay my medical bill. When he gave me the inside scoop about his full side cab plans, my head exploded. You guys ain't seen nothing yet. Thank you very much for the super chat. This would be a good time. Glenn, I know this, Glenn, and I don't know if you've told people this, but Glenn does a lot of work with you. He does like testing and shit like that. So why don't you give him his props?
First of all, Glenn's a great guy. He's actually he's tall. He's like Shiloh tall, but he lives like 5 minutes down the road. And it's funny, we found each other. He found me over the gate switchers. He was trying to get the original ones that were like 3D printed, and he's like, "Well, there's a guy that lives right near you. He's going to build them for you." It's like this guy named Glenn. He goes, "Who?" Glenn from Glenn's retro show. He goes, oh my God, where does he live? And it's right down the road from you. I'm like, ah. So there he is. He's got a lot going on. He started a new job, and in typical fashion, his boss is driving him, crazy. So, but good guy, Glenn.
JR's got a good question here. Glenn, can you make a control panel with Q*bert stick and solenoid knocker? I think this is where you come in with your partners. So the partners are going to be able to have the dimensions, have the design. They're going to be able to make these panels for people, right?
Well, the control panel stuff, like I said earlier, we will make a Q*bert and Congo Bongo 4-way. So that'll be available already. Because I wasn't joking for P-dubs. I made specifically sure we had a joystick that did that for him and Q*bert. The guy gets a tattoo of Q*bert. You got to do it. As far as
you don't want to see his other tattoo.
No. But as far as the knacker goes, totally possible. We can simply have some type of driver for solenoid put in through arcade as a driver. It won't be something definitely at the beginning, but it's definitely something that could be done. Absolutely.
Yeah. So a couple other things I want to talk about here, Glenn. Obviously, you're in competition with a couple other companies, one of which is the Legends Ultimate. Legends Ultimate is a retail multicade, been out for a while. They're coming out.
I love mine. I have it right here.
I love mine too. I got Cadillacs and dinosaurs rocking back on it. So one of the things that I really like what you're doing, which I think is a step back for Act Games, is I know they're moving forward with their own system. They want to develop their own system for people to bring games. But I mean, like some of their interfaces, I don't know. I haven't seen their arcade interface yet, so I don't know how that's going to work. But when it comes to bring your own game, we all loved coin ops. We loved the ability to add coin ops, be able to flip the games, the cool looking graphics. I mean, that's a good thing. People already have arcade loaded up on your machine. So I think that's a competitive advantage you guys have with this compared to other multicades in the space.
Well, that is true. And of course, coin ops and other teams absolutely could make, builds compatible with the Viper for sure. But the good thing about mine, which drove me crazy with unfortunately with the Legends, was anytime you had to be logged in, you could play a game 3 times, and if you brought your own, you had to sign back in, or that just drove me nuts because my login, my Wi-Fi is like 10 miles long. It drove me crazy.
Mine too. Yeah.
Right. So with this, being that it's running, like MAME and its other applications, we already have, and we just demonstrated it when Arcade was on my show. You can create a local server and have people just join your server, and you can play Sega Genesis games or MAME games with them, or you can set up Moonlight, which is a way to stream Steam, and you can play Steam games on the Viper that way. Or again, you can add your full PC and add people any way that you want. The other cool thing is, even if you have 1 or 2 controllers on the Build-a-cade, they made a custom Bluetooth driver that's phenomenal, and you could add additional Bluetooth controllers. So you could 26-inch screen, and again, you can still do an HDMI out to an even bigger screen. So you can have 2 people playing on your Build-a-cade and 2 people playing on the big screen. Or want to get more crazy? Have a Viper in here. I can be playing Street Fighter or something here, and he could be on the big machine over there playing it because it's running arcade, and you can do it that way. So it's its own small ecosystem. I have another idea, and this is an idea, and you guys tell me I'm crazy or not, 'cause my team would think I was joking, but I was actually serious. So when you have a Nintendo Switch, right? You have your Switch, and you can dock at the house, right? And you take your Joy-Cons off, and you play on the big TV, right? And then you want to leave, you put your Joy-Cons down, and then you go, right? So I was thinking, and this isn't, you guys tell me if I'm crazy or not, because maybe I am. I get out of control sometimes. We sell the big Build-a-cade with its little baby brother. And you can dock your open the door where the coin door is. You put your little Build-a-cade in, connect HDMI, your USB and power. And your big Build-a-cade is powered by your mini Build-a-cade. Then when you go into your friend's house, you pop it out, take your Build-a-cade with you. Go to your friend's house and connect to his HDMI. So these are the things that I think about, and maybe I'm crazy, making that as an option or not, but I thought that was a semi-cool idea.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea, Glenn. It's just don't bog yourself down trying to do too much. You already have a really good idea. Just get it out to us.
Sometimes you throw things at the wall. Some stick, some are insane.
Yeah.
But that's the point I'm trying to make, is that like big companies wouldn't even consider that. And these are things we're just trying to innovate and think of other ways of doing it. And I'm still not saying it's not going to happen. You may still get it whether you want it or not. But these are things I'm thinking about.
So something me and you talked about a little bit, and I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this or not, but I always do this anyways. I just say whatever I want. So one thing that you mentioned was you're probably going to go with a widescreen monitor, and you talked about there might be people out there that want a multicade with a widescreen monitor. To me, I think the selling point on this 100% is the 4x3 monitor, because you look at all these companies out there right now, like At Games, other companies that sell these big multi-K builds and stuff like that. They have the widescreen monitors in there, and like you're just looking at them, and you're like, it's cool, but it's got a widescreen monitor. I don't want bezels. I don't want any of this shit. I don't know. I think it's great that you would provide an option, but I don't think you need to put a ton of time into coming up with an idea to still make it widescreen if someone wants. Like, honestly, what I would suggest to you is, instead of some, crazy idea, make it widescreen. If someone wants to make a widescreen, let them just take the bezel out and
Oh,
just have it like
exactly.
that.
But what I was thinking was almost like a curtain, like something like where on the outside of the plexiglass be like a
Yeah.
slider, and the slider would cover it and not. It was just an idea, and I'm not talking about like a cheap one. We see these little wrinkles. Like my car's got a sunroof. It's a big sunroof, and it's a curtain, and
Yeah.
it looks
I
like
have
it's a
one too.
solid top. Right.
Yeah.
So I was thinking something along those lines. Again, thinking outside the box. We may just not do that at all and just make it look 4:3 if
For
I have to
three.
go with the widescreen. But
Yeah.
I always try to give people, again, I said it since the retro buzz days. I'd rather give people options and not use it if they don't want it, but have it there if someone did want to use it. But again,
Yeah, but
it's
don't
it's just an option.
spend money and time trying to figure out how to do it. Get this shit to us.
Noted.
Yeah. I think if you did some marketing, you're seeing people here, like that's a huge selling point. It's the 4x3. Like, I have no passion for candy cabs. I know nothing about setting up like real arcades, like JAMA boards and stuff like that. But I was considering getting a Nova Blast for two simple reasons: 26-inch 4x3 monitor, and I could switch it from vertical to horizontal. There's
Right.
not a lot of options out there right now to get a big multicade with a horizontal screen, let alone one that
Right.
switches, and especially in 4x3. So I think if you ask the majority of the people, 4x3 is what they'd want to go with.
I already knew that part. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing. Again, it's coming down to how we implement it, whether it's a true 4:3 screen, or if it's a widescreen that looks like a 4:3 screen. And if the person, like to me, if you don't know the difference, what does it matter? There's a lot of machines like from Numbskull and other people that are looks like a 4:3, and it's not. It's actually a widescreen just covered. So
Yeah.
real quick, the big reason is if I was to make my own 4:3 screen, we're talking like $1 million+ for a manufacturer to do it, and obviously that's not going to happen. It's just we
Yeah.
can't do it.
No, no. God, no. There's so the only game I knew of in town was obviously Unico with the Phoenix Monitor series, but you found another source.
We did, and it's not that we wouldn't want to use Unicos. Again, it's cost.
Oh yeah, big
I
time.
want this machine to come out to you guys, highest quality, without like being an insane price. I really like right now the price we're talking right now. I even think it's
Don't say it
insane.
yet. Don't say it yet.
I
Th-
can't. I can't, but
Okay,
it's not
okay.
fine. It's not finalized yet. And again, we're tweaking and we're still making small changes. Like I said, with how we store the control panels, these are all coming to fruition. So I can't. But I'm just saying, just the basic what we're shooting for. I think you guys like put it this way: when I released the ultimate control panel, and people saw $120, they're like, "How are you doing the $120?" And the KVM at like 160, people are like, "How are you doing that?" Because we're wearing underwear with more holes in it than cheese because we can't afford new underwear. We that's what we do. But that's very important to me is the price point. It's if it's perfect quality, great quality, that's great. But if people can't afford it, who cares? People have to be able to afford it and be able to play it. Otherwise, there's no point in doing this.
299. I'm gone says I'm gone. That is crazy. You can't get a screen for 299. I think Glenn, the next thing really what people want to know is, when do you expect to launch your Kickstarter? Where are you thinking about putting this? Where can people expect to see this go up?
Well, I definitely can't do Kickstarter because to do Kickstarter, you have to have the prototype. Like when my Star Wars yoke had a prototype, we had it ready. So he's able to do that. For me to really get this off the ground, we need to crowdfund it. So either it's going to be like an Indiegogo, or maybe we just do pre-orders like we did with the Ultimate Control Panel. We didn't have any really at the time until we started crowdfunding. I really would like to get it over, at least started before the end of the year. I really
Yeah.
want it before like New Year's comes. I want this thing started. I want it delivered early first or early second quarter of 2025. Really depends on how quickly we can get all the parts. We finalize it. We have to build one, quality test it, make sure the hinges are good, rotations are good. We already know the controllers are good, and the arcade and all that stuff's good. It's really the build quality of the cabinet. We need to make sure it's easy to assemble. We're actually looking at, just so you guys know, a new style of connecting. There's a company we're working with right now. It's an innovative connecting system, which is apparently very robust. It's strong, but simple.
Yeah.
And that's key because, just so you guys also know, my team, I didn't agree with it, but they were like, we want to sell a complete unit. Like it's coming to your house, done. And I'm like, there's no way that's going to happen. And of course, they checked shipping charges, and they were like, yeah, we can't do
You
that.
can't do that.
So it's going to come in it'll come in a or a few flag packs because it is a big unit. So probably it's going to come in a few just because of weight. That's the thing too, that this thing will be solid. I mean, iArcade in its size, when it's sitting down, it's pretty weighty and it doesn't move, and it's solid. I'm going to be bigger than that. I'm going to be bigger than the At Games Legends Ultimate in all its dimensions because it's going to be a full size cabinet.
I like it, Glenn. I'm excited because I need more manly toys to play with. I got my pinball machine. I need another full-size cab to go next to it. So I'm pretty excited about that. Glenn, I know right now you can't say the price, but like I got a lot of feedback.
I can tell you this. I can tell you this. It is definitely going to be more than $1 and less than $10,000. So in between those two windows, but I will say, if you guys know me at all and all the products I've done, I've always blown you guys away on the price point. But again, it's not going to be cheap because it is a full-size cabinet, but it's not going to be unreasonable in any way, shape, or form.
So if I want to get the base model, how many dollary dues do I need to save up?
More than $1, less than $10,000.
Oh, Glenn, you're killing me here now. Killing me. So, how do I say this? Yeah, I can't ask you. You can't tell.
Well,
but I think
Killer Instinct. What did the Killer Instinct go for? The big one, like the big Killer
$1,000.
Instinct.
$1,000.
Okay, way less than that. Okay,
that's what I was trying to get out of you. That's what I was trying to get out of you because that's that when people came out of the announcement and they heard everything that you could do and everything that was there, people started getting like negative flashbacks that they were like looking at all the other products and how much they cost. So if it's less than the At Games, less than the Arcade 1-Up Killer Instinct,
way less,
I think people would be very happy here because people know who you are, Glenn. You're not here trying to, buy a boat from selling these home arcade products. So it's very much.
I would like to put an extra chicken nugget on the table. It'd be nice.
You're still a business. Let's call a spade here. You're still a business, and you are trying to make money, but like your profit margins, you're not gouging. You're not, Arcade 1-Up jumping from $3.99 to $6.99.
Just to tell you, like right now, we're doing $50, right? $50. We're taking a loss on it, but that's okay because we're trying to get our name out there. We want people to get this and see the quality that we've been doing at something like this. That's sometimes what you need to do. You lose here to hopefully make something later down the road.
Kevin Clausen, $2 super chat question, Glenn. Can Danny get a free one?
I'm gonna be totally transparent with this particular one. There probably will not be anything free. The margins we're trying to do on this thing there's really nothing I can do with there, to be honest. And I apologize for that. But this one's probably not going to be that way.
Guys, I'm also going to be honest too. If Glenn wants to have a successful product launch, I'd probably send one to like, I don't know, Metal Jesus Rocks or somebody, not my ass or Danny.
Well, I will say I was talking this morning to ETA Prime this morning. So we were talking back forth.
He'd be a good choice.
Yeah. But he still probably wouldn't get a free one.
Yeah.
but he's a good friend and he would probably back at without any issues.
What about the great value ETA Prime Nostalgia?
First of all, I hope he's doing okay.
Yeah.
I really do. I really do hope he's doing okay.
You
I
know
miss the
what?
guy.
He's fine. He's just a bitch. That's why he's not on TV. He's just a
Well,
bitch.
we hairy guys have to stick together, and my palm's clean, but the rest of it is quite hairy.
Yeah, guys, all kidding aside, like let's not try to pressure Glenn about sending any of these out. Small business, we can help him out.
Well, and again, I don't want you guys doing it to help me out. That's not why I'm doing this. So I appreciate what Mike just said. But
Oh no,
not doing this to
I'm
help.
gonna shield the hell out of this, Glenn.
I'm saying
I mean,
this
I've sold
this
so
is
many
not.
arcade one-ups, Act Games Legends Ultimates. The least I can do is sell a couple of these for you.
Well, I don't. This is not for me. This is not for me. I don't do this for me. I do this for you guys. That's what I've always done. And when I've tried to work with other organizations, other people, it's always been to help them out. Because honestly, I said this before, and Mike knows this. I say it again. My son's 19 now, but he wasn't when I started this. And I
Oh
simply
yeah,
want him to see that if you have a passion for something and you put effort in, you can make something of yourself and make a mark. You know, I want him to be proud. I want my son basically to be proud of his dad. And funny, his friends are, but still my son is like, it's my dad. No. So
yeah.
you can't win.
It's the weirdest
Look
thing, right?
at the
Like,
coolest stuff. Look at this stuff. And he goes, I
holy
don't care.
shit! Like your dad is so freaking cool, and he's like, "Oh, my dad."
Yeah. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. Glenn, there was a million other things I wanted to ask you about, but we're at an hour and 37 minutes, and I'll keep you here all night. You know I can talk like all
I'm
night
still okay.
long.
I'm still okay for a little while. So if you have the questions you want to ask away. It's up
All
to you.
right. So, yeah, really quickly. So, how's your projects with New Wave Toys going? We've got Golden Tea coming out relatively. When's the launch for Golden Tea? Do we know when that product's going to be coming out to the people that pre-ordered?
Shadow hasn't told me that information, but I will say that obviously the pre-orders were done for Golden Tea and just completed for Crystal
Yeah,
Castles.
Crystal
And
Castles.
yep, and they've been very happy with the equipment we sent them, and I'm very happy with the equipment that we sent them. So I'm excited for it myself. I'm dying. I do enjoy Golden Tea. I am a fan. I used to go to a cheap ass barbecue place where it was just a sheet of like wax paper, and they throw the food on there, and you sit down with cornbread and eat it, and then you drink a couple beers, and then you walk over and you play some Golden Tea. So I'm excited for that, and I'm probably a little more excited for Crystal Castles. Just
Oh yeah,
again, just because it's just a pretty cabinet, and it is.
it's beautiful. It's one of the
But
nicest looking cabinets ever. Like when they
but
were
it is.
like, "We're going to do the field test," I was like, "Why bother?" I mean,
I agree. I was not really on board with the field test one.
yeah,
It actually looks kind of better in all the white.
yeah.
But I will say, working with Shiloh and New Wave Toys, they're not a large company, but they're a company that cares. And working with them has been phenomenal. But I'm gonna be honest too. When I was working with PK and at Games, had a great time. Sometimes things just didn't work out because there was a language barrier, unfortunately, with certain things. But they were a great team to work with. I haven't worked with them in a while, but I had a good time with them. I'm working with American Gear Company. They're building their now Coleco, their like full size machine, their Coleco arcade machine. Uh,
What a weird choice to go with. Like, and no offense and stuff like that. I'm happy for American Gear Company, but why Coleco for an arcade? What's the concept there?
I'm going to be honest. I think the real thing was that the price was right to get uh, some skin in the game with Coleco or
Yeah,
the IP of Coleco, and it's a recognized name. I mean, our
yeah.
generation, Coleco, the ColecoVision was a big brand. I mean,
Oh yeah,
to be honest, there's a lot of Coleco games on the Ultimate that people I remember back in the day like yuck, but they're fun games. So I think the recognized name was the bigger reason for that.
no offense, but like if someone told me tomorrow that they're coming out with a ColecoVision Plus or a ColecoVision Mini, I'd be like all in. I'm buying this
Oh, damn
immediately.
straight.
Yeah,
As long as
but
that
like
game doesn't do it, because they blew that one they made. It was terrible.
the rumor is that's why Sega no longer puts their name on any products. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Well, I will say the Intellivision one they made was actually pretty damn good. They did a nice
yeah.
job. Who was smoking what when they did the ColecoVision one? The case, the controllers, the emulation. It just was a hot mess, and it was a shame because when I saw in a small news article that they were doing the ColecoVision and television ones, I had a couple of flashbacks. I was like, I'm now going to buy every damn one and have a collection. I have every single one of the Atari. Like I have like 15 different Atari ones, and the Intellivision one, and then the ColecoVision was like someone put deer balls in my mouth and made me lick it. It was like it was
Yeah,
gross.
I've heard the last two Atari ones, 2600 ones, are really good from At Games, and like I mean, like obviously they got the feedback about what they were making, right? So they've been trying to turn things around, and I mean, all their arcade stuff has been really
Well, they
super high
did.
quality.
They
Yeah,
did. We've talked about that before. When they were known as the junk brand. You buy it, it's going to break in 5 minutes. You play 10 minutes, and it was done. So they turned that company around. They went from like Hyundai back 25, 30 years ago. You had no choice. You bought it, and that's what it was.
yeah,
Now Hyundai is a $65,000 car in some case. So the Genesis even up to $100,000 thing. And so I take my hat off to PK and his team because I mean Arcade went up head to head in pinball. Arcade One Up lost that battle.
big time. They got
Big time
slaughtered.
pinball. And I know it's a different thing, but the Ultimate is a great machine. It really is
Yeah,
a good machine. And so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like no complaints about the Legends Ultimate at all. Like the only thing that is a little disappointing about going into the next generation Legends Ultimate is the fact that they moved away from, coin ops. Like we had something really cool, and now we don't.
right,
Right?
right,
That's
right.
yeah,
Now that was a bad move, and that's you know one thing I didn't like what iGames did was because when you buy a product, there's certain features. I understand if you want to change for the better,
yeah.
but don't take features away. If you've
No.
sold something with certain features in there and you take it away, that's bad customer service 101 right there. That was not good.
So, Glenn, Unacceptable Fringe says, Glenn, all jokes aside, my audience loves my arcades. When this is ready, please come on my show so I can get you some sales. Sincerely, can't wait for this. Good dude. He's probably going to ask you a lot of uncomfortable questions about Justin Trudeau, but definitely you
Funny
should
thing
go on the
is,
show.
unacceptable. I actually reached out to him a couple times back when he was defending me back in the dark times.
Yeah.
And I reached out to you, man. You hit me up on Glenn's Retro Show at gmail.com, man. I'd be happy to come on. I wanted to be on your show back then. So yeah, hit me up.
Who's this Bill's Retro Gaming Show guy? That's a buddy of yours, right?
I think that's me from another dimension.
I love Bill. Bill's such a nice guy.
And I talked to him. I talked to him recently. We have to do he's only half hour from my house. We need to
Really?
yeah, he's right where I used to live. I used to live down in Yorktown. He's right in that area. So we got to get together.
Did you go to Retro World Expo this year?
I didn't go. Hartford. I didn't go this year. Like I said, I did so many other shows, and I didn't have any money to spend. So it's like I don't
Well,
know.
just go as a fan. I really want to go. I've always wanted to go. A lot of my old school YouTube friends go. There's a guy by the name of Don Gold. He's got too many names. His name's Dude, You Haven't Played This Game is his channel. He's been trying to get me to go for years. I know Corey Carlson from My Life in Gaming goes. So yeah, I'm going to try to
I met
be.
them. I've already met them. Like I woke up all the time. Like Glenn, oh my God, he's back. Get that Build-a-cade away from me. They're running. Get
Leave me
away.
alone, Jesus.
Take it. Take one.
Anyways, I've always wanted to go. I think I'm going to try to go next year. And plus,
If you go next year, if you go to Retro World next year, you stay here. I'm an hour.
I'll stay there.
You stay in my house.
I've heard there's floods there though.
There are, and that's where I'm going to put you in the basement, right here.
Dollar from Jackson Wallace. No message. Jackson, if there was something you wanted to say, throw it back up. I'll try to catch it. Thank you very much for the super chat and supporting us. So, Glenn, another thing, I know you can't talk about this, but I like to try to get the inside dirt. I was watching your interview with Shiloh, and one of the things that caught me off guard was the announcement they are coming to the Chicago Pinball Expo. Obviously, they have their Black Hole coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I know you probably can't say anything if you know anything, but I'm going to start the, speculation train and throw some stuff out there. I got the feeling like something's cooking with the pinball, that maybe not everything is as it was before. I'm not saying it's playable now, but do you get the impression that it might have changed a little bit?
I will say, I could tell you for a fact that the current pinball is it's it. It's gonna be a recreation. It'll be the ball that goes up a little bit, to that one spot. It won't be anything more than that. However, that doesn't mean there won't be other types of announcements. I'll say that. But
Ooh.
the black hole
Black
is
holes. It is
it's
what it is.
It's designed to be a nice tabletop recreation with sound effects and the lights, which is still very cool. It
I
is,
agree. Yeah.
but it's not going to be fully playable. No, that's not changing.
We allow ourselves to get excited. Like I knew I was talking to Eduardo when we were in Cleveland, and I knew like it was a tall task and like super expensive, but still you think,
But
right?
remember, I have a video that's out there. It's like maybe 5 or 6 thousand subs. I had a video out there. We would build a 1/6 fully functioning multicade pinball machine. I need 10,000 views on that video, and I know that a few people have kind of reposted it, but it's still not there, and it's like 6 months old now. So if you go to my channel and look up the 1/6 scale pinball, if you like it and view it and subscribe, and I get 10,000 views on it,
Yeah.
uh, we will in 2025 come out with a fully functioning multi V pin from GRS.
B-Dubs has got a great idea. Let's take Shiloh to medieval times. I want to see him in the arena.
Yeah, it'd be like those guys just poking down like the giants,
Yeah.
just stabbing straight down.
And I have to ask this question. One of the things that I really like, I feel bad because I think like us, like we get excited about things and like we always talk about this. So when your partnership was announced with New Wave Toys, a lot of us started thinking like, this is it, man. They're making like a arcade one-up competitor. Or they're making a large scale cab. I wish I appreciate the fact that you put out the silhouette picture ahead of time so we could kind of diffuse some of that. But I think people were like really expecting that full size cab from New Wave, and of course, Shiloh came on your show and said we are going to do it. But I would caution people to hold off, wait till New Wave Toys is ready. I know we really want it because Arcade One Up hasn't been putting out much in a long time. They haven't gave us a lot of reason to be excited about home arcade, especially in the recreation
I will
space in a
say,
while.
Shiloh at when the time is right, Shiloh is looking to go bigger. Now,
Yeah,
what size bigger that is, I don't know, but he's not lying. He definitely will do it, but right now it's just not the right time for him. But I think for me and what I want to do, it is the right time. So that's why I'm striking mine now.
can you convince them to make a larger scale centipede?
Again, I'm not sure what the license is right now. That's the big thing when you're doing something like that. I don't think the Atari licenses are very expensive, from what I understand, but the license could be tied up elsewhere, and
It,
that's the only thing that
it,
would hold it up. When he did Centipede, it was a 1/6 scale Centipede, and
I know what
then
you're saying. Yeah.
then Basic Fun did a Centipede. It wasn't really a Centipede, it was a thing, but that was like a handheld. So when you go into these different sizes, different markets, it changes, and someone else may have that license tied up, and unless they're going to release it or double sell it, however they call it. I own it, but I'll lease it to you, type of thing. That's where the problem would come into play.
See, what happened was Arcade One Up had a very aggressive style of doing licensing. It was
Oh
like,
yes,
you work with anybody else, like we're not going to work with you. I think that has shifted now. I don't think they have the same.
it was very Nintendo-esque.
Yeah, yeah,
You work with
Nintendo
us.
esque, like back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think I don't think they have that focus anymore. I don't think they have those deals in place, and I don't think they can enforce them. I don't think that they really have the
Well, the one thing is
power anymore to do
difficult
it.
if you had 2 or 3 or 4 companies coming out with the exact same size product. I mean, like, I guess VCRs is one thing, right? Different competing VCRs, sure. But when you're talking about something like that, it's definitely more niche. So I think that the licenses are a little more like, I mean, I guess if they could technically sell the license, sure. But I'm sure when they sell that license, they want to they're supposed to get money back. They get residuals from those sales. So again, maybe it would be less if they didn't work with one person or not. I don't know. That's not my thing. That's other people or licensee people. I don't deal with that. Even my team with SNK, they came out to us, and it was phenomenal when they did, and they knew about us, and that's one of the highest points in my life. They're like, we like what you do. I'm like, holy shit,
It's
SNK.
SNK.
It's Neo Geo guys, and really, um, was huge. So my team, those guys deal with that type of stuff. I don't want to deal. I don't even want to deal with. Even if I'm like Steve Jobs, I don't want to deal with that. I want to deal with the fun stuff. and then have the people who know what they're doing deal with those things.
I know I'm not supposed to talk about certain things, but I got to talk about it. You are like Steve Jobs. You're like, hey, Arcade One Up, look at my Tron stick. And they're like, yeah, we're going to steal that.
And I've always said that too. And so people know it's not the actual Tron stick.
No,
It was
it's not.
always, it was
No.
the mount.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, when you try,
you've heard the story about how Apple was like, hey, we're doing this whole graphic interface thing. And Microsoft's like, ooh, tell me more. Than Windows.
but see that there's some misconception in there.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft did pay Xerox a license. I know it made more dynamic, whatever. When Apple says you simply stole it, it wasn't really the case. What did happen was like the file view and those options. That's where the problem came. It wasn't the GUI itself. It was the way Microsoft was doing the GUI, even like Mac Paint and MS Paint. That's where the problem came into. It was like they copied the way it was done, not the GUI. So I just want people to realize the problem wasn't the GUI. It was the problem that Microsoft kind of stole the look and feel of Apple's interface, because Xerox Parks was very different. Apple made so many improvements over the Xerox Park one, other than it being a visual and a mouse. It was quite different.
Yeah. Really quickly, our moderator, one of the nicest guys at the community, Jason Little Alien, $10 super chat. You didn't need to do that, Jason. Appreciate the interview. Glenn has always been a class act, and I will personally be supporting this product. 2025 will be 2025 will be very exciting. I know I will not be disappointed. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, me too. I don't buy much anymore because the reality is, when you have a second kid, man, money just seems to disappear. So, but this is on my radar, Glenn. Like, you have created something that has got me very excited. I know people don't see me as
That
the
is a microphone in
multi-cade.
front of you, right?
Pardon?
That's a microphone in front of you, right? You're saying you're very excited. That's a microphone, right?
Yeah, sure. You could call it that. Anyways, I know people don't consider me to be the big multi-cade guy, even though I am the number one multi-cade show. That's why I do the show every Monday, Multicade Monday. But this is one I'm super excited for. Like, I'm definitely interested in getting this, if not just for one, to make it like a Donkey Kong cab, like a DK cab from my home. Also from the multicade standpoint, like what you've created is an all-in-one solution that we can only dream of, with these panels being able to switch it in, swap it from, regular cab to a flight yoke cab to maybe a Tron, like I can't call it Tron, like a flight stick cab
No, it's
into
that
a driving
1982
cab.
film where someone goes into a computer movie game.
Yeah. The popular 1982 film where someone is digitized into a computer system.
That's all you got to say. Just like that space one where you fly around in this, looks like an X, you from X to no. But real quick, what he's saying right here, I lose so much sleep when the Akari stick was coming out and I was testing it. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. It was horrible. It was not working right. My team's like, but it should. We had to go back to the drawing board so many times to get that working. And, yeah, P Dubs did. Yeah, he'll probably talk to you after the show, Mike.
I'm in so much trouble now.
You are. And then with recent with the Viper, when it was coming out for the arcade, it was going to come with Batacera, and I did not like how Batacera was coming out on it, and it was freaking me out. But then we got arcade running on there, and I was happy with it, and people have been happy with it. So just to let you guys know, I really care what you guys think about the product, and I freak out and I worry until it starts getting like reviewed. But like the Akari sticks and the Viper caused me the most stress, because both of them were not performing anywhere close to what I would have wanted if I'm paying money for it. But thankfully, we came through with the clutch, we got it working, and people are happy with it.
And just to clarify things, P-Dubs, I'm not copying you. I'm great valuing you. I'm the worst version of you. Glenn, we're excited. We can't wait to see where this is going. So happy you finally announced this. So happy you're doing this. You went from being just a person in the community, then to one of the other people in the community that were making stuff to make our arcades better. And now you're coming out with something that has truly brought a lot of joy and enjoyment back to the community at a time where it's been lame, man, for a while. Like, it's been so dark. Like, At Games is killing it with pinball, but like no one else is doing anything. So thank you so much for putting this up.
I appreciate it, Mike, and I really do hope that people do feel that way, because that's what we're trying to do. I really want this to be something you guys are happy about, and I really do hope that's what comes out of this, because that what makes me happy is what makes what makes you happy makes me happy. How's that sound? That works.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. So before the end of the year, get your significant other to buy you a Indiegogo or crowdfunder, wherever it's to buy a GRS. I had an idea for it. You know the YouTuber Biggie D? Call
I
it the
do.
GRS BIGGGGGY-cade. The Biggie-cade. Anyways, get them to buy that for you, and we're going to stay tuned, Glenn. We're excited to see this. When you get everything finalized, please, it doesn't have to be my show. Come out, tell us more about it. Hey, I heard you even have a YouTube channel, right?
I have the small one. Yeah, it's been around for like 10 years now, but yeah, it's still there. So again, if you do want to subscribe to Glenn's Retro Show, any new products that come out or stupid videos, that you can see it first. But join us on Friday before Super Game Room Dudes for Kicking It Old School, because us old people are there.
Yeah, I always manage to stop in for a couple minutes before the show. Obviously, P-Dubs likes to tell everybody about the work he does, but really, I'm the workhorse of Super Game Room Dude, so I can't spend all hour there on it. But and it's true, I don't have his pizzazz. P-Dubs is the much better showman and salesman than I am. I'm just a goofy guy that likes this shit. So. Yeah, P-Dub says he's partial to Viper-cade. I think you should call it the Iconic Arcade, because we should at least have one good. The big thing right now is everybody's going around saying they're the number one channel for things. I might not be the number one channel of much, but I'm the number one Iconic Arcade channel. If you want Iconic Arcade, you come to the right place. Anyways, Glenn, I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for doing this tonight. I hope people enjoyed it. I hope people learned a little bit more about you got to come up with a name. Like, you can't just keep calling it, you could just call it the GRS Multicade if you wanted. I think that's snappy enough. What are you leaning towards?
I honestly, I don't know. Yeah, honestly, it's being called the GRS Build-a-cade XL. That's kind of what's been floating around the most.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if that's like it. It could be, but it hasn't sunk in that that's the right one.
Why don't you have a community contest to see who can name it?
I might.
Yeah.
I might, Mike. I might.
Yeah. You know what a good way to do that is? Putting up polls on your YouTube page. Apparently that's a really good idea. Nobody gets upset.
I hear that's something. I hear that's something.
Maybe that's my poll tomorrow. I got it here in the chat. Let's see what the audience said. I just put up a couple solutions. So let me bring up the poll and see where we are before we end. I always end the show without closing the poll. I always forget about it. So you know what's funny? That was the name I put in the GRS Build-a-cade XL. And at 226 votes, that's leading the pack at 37%. So that seems to be, out of my four options, the winner so far. Then we had the GRS Cade. I think Brooklyn Menace mentioned this earlier on Steps Gaming, or someone else mentioned it that way. I came up with these names just off the top of my head. The GRS Ultracade and the GRS Megacade. And they came in second and third, with the Megacade having 27% of the vote and the GRS Ultracade having 20% of the vote.
I was reading some of the chats, and the Glenny McGlenny face.
Glenny McGlenn face, like those high schools they renamed, right? Thundercade would be an amazing name, especially with T-sticks, right?
And I can have that song, Thundercade. Something like that,
Oh, actually, Kevin Clausen. The GRS XXL.
We'll call it the GRS Micecade.
Yeah, no, that's the GRS XXXL. Well, I've lost a couple pounds. Maybe I'll be down to XXL soon. And Jason Little Alien, he's got one. Arcade with a fall up yours. Yeah, you know what? I don't think you should call it that.
There are a lot of people like the Vipercade, which is not a bad name. That's not a bad name either.
Nope, that's not a bad name either. The Snake Pit. Wow. Honestly, I will literally keep you here all night if I don't stop this. So, Glenn, thank you so very much. This has been a treat. I did not intend to go this long, but can't help myself.
That's what she said, but sometimes you can't help yourself.
That's definitely not something Steven's wife's ever said. Steven Nostalgia, I got to be clear.
Oh, Bill's retro got a good one. The GRS Magnum.
Ooh.
You got that right? Yes. Yep. The Magnum. There you go.
The GRS Magnum, ribbed for your pleasure. The Cobra-cade. I like that.
Cobra-cade.
I like that.
I like one.
My brother, he wanted to be like a IT person, right? So he started his own business, and I was like, "What'd you call it? Like Matt's PC Repairs or something like that?" He was like, "Cobra Venom Net." I was like, "What?" So he had it on his message machine. So I'm a massive idiot in real life, massive idiot. So when I used to call him, I'd be like, "Yeah, is Cobra Venom Dick there?" Like, who calls their company that? The Cobra Venom Net. Yeah, I love it. Anyways, Glenn, thank you so very much. Good luck with this. We're going to be watching it, and I'm all in. I think this is just such a cool idea. You can do so much with it. Whether you're a fan of multicades, or even I will say one of the comments you made was people have been asking for full size cabs. There it is, and I thought there was a little bit of confusion with like Arcade One Up fans asking for XL. I still think that there's a possibility some people from the Arcade One Up world, when we talk about this, like how you can decorate your cabs and the different stuff you can do with it, especially the Donkey Kong, there's reason to be excited here, because this is not just a multicade. This can also be converted to a very reasonably priced full-size like Donkey Kong or something like that. So I'm excited for not just multicade fans, but also just fans of home arcade in general, because we can do a lot of shit with this.
Well, Mike, thanks for having me on, and thanks everyone in the chat. Really appreciate it. Good group here tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything.
All right, where's next on your world tour? Have you booked any more dates?
No, nothing's booked yet. But it's so new.
It's so new. It's new, well, I'm just getting used to it.
Yeah.
All right, Glenn. Well, anyways, if we don't see you, we'll see you this Friday on Kicking It Old School, where you and P-Dubs, listen up. Steven will be breaking things down before Super Game Room, dude. So check that out. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thanks, Glenn, for being here. We'll see you later.
Game on.